Good morning, everybody. Something to brighten up your morning. Bring peace into our lives. 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 Bring joy into our lives. Bring joy into our lives. Bring joy into our lives. Hey, bring joy into our lives. Bring joy into our lives. Bring joy into our lives. Bring love into our lives. Bring joy into our lives. Bring joy into our lives. Bring love into our lives. Bring peace into our lives. Bring peace into our lives.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining CSL Denver this morning. It's a lovely day, and we are happy that you are here. And so we'd like to just start with a opening invocation to allow everyone to open to the Spirit of God and to allow that Spirit to move through. So if it feels comfortable, close your eyes and take a deep breath. And so as we begin this morning, recognizing and knowing that God is all there is, and that as spring begins to dawn and the flowers begin to bloom and the birds are singing songs of joy, we know that as we move through these times of new beginnings, we are blessed because we know that God has power to heal and move and sustain and bring all things new once again. And so let us just relax and sit back and allow our hearts to open, our minds to be still, and our spirits to be open to the divine. And so I just take a moment of silence to allow that to sink in and giving thanks, knowing that we are the ones that we have been waiting for, and we are endowed with divine power. And so I give thanks, knowing that all is well right here, right now. And so it is. Amen.
Please sing with me. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace into the heavens. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. And it returns to me. And it returns to me.
And now for our reading. As we move into a time of greater light and new growth, we naturally shift from an inward focus to an outward focus in order to explore the expansion of life and all possibilities around us. It's important to recognize the power inherent in new beginnings and to know that when we open to it, that power is available to us in every moment. Let us come together to celebrate what is ready to be released, honor the light that we came here to be, and step into a life filled with purpose, passion, and possibility. And from Ernest Holmes, I live in a faith that there is a presence and a power greater than I am that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. I know that this presence is all-knowing and all power and is always right where I am. And now I would like to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker for today. Reverend Michelle is from Mile High, and she is here to give us a lovely talk. And she does have a bio, but I lost it. I apologize. So if Michelle, if you could give us a little background, that would be great. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Tim. And thank you, Reverend Z, for this opportunity to be with you this morning. Good morning, CSL Denver. This is definitely an interesting time and an interesting way to do church. However, I'm grateful to be with each and every one of you and grateful for technology for the opportunity to continue to serve and support in this way. So I'm Reverend Michelle Scavetta. I'm assistant minister at Mile High Church. I've been on staff at Mile High for almost 14 years, and I've been serving and supporting the youth ministry there for over 16 years. And so my passion is to create sacred space for healing, growth, and transformation. And so as you may know, today is also Palm Sunday, and this week is the beginning of Holy Week. This week we also celebrate Passover, and these holy days continue to invite us to go within and to recognize the journey of awakening to the divine that is around us in every moment. And so my talk title today is New Beginnings, the Power of New Beginnings, Living a Life of Purpose, Passion, and Possibility. And so when I chose that title a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about springtime and the opportunities to be outside in nature, the addition of more daylight, being outside and noticing the baby animals running around and spending time with family and friends. But little did I know that we would be in the midst of this interesting time through this health crisis. Even though this is the time for spring and new beginnings and planting seeds and growing gardens, it seems like we've been called to go within as we're being asked to stay inside, asked to not connect in gatherings and connect with other people, but to be with one another in our own families, in our own home. And so I know some of us may have also heard the call, felt the call to go within a little bit deeper, to be in the silence. And although I know sometimes the silence can feel a little daunting, the silence is where we connect with our divine nature, connect with our intuition. And I know sometimes that silence creates the space for new insights, for new revelations, to greater awakenings to the truth of who we are and who we came here to be. And sometimes I wonder if during this time of challenge and anxiety and heightened fear that some people may be experiencing, I wonder if people are also wondering where God is in all of this. How would a all-loving, all-powerful God allow all of this to happen? And what I'm grateful to know is that we as religious scientists, we know that God is right where we are. There is no place, no situation where God is not. For God is the very breath that we breathe. And I recognize that in this time as well. And although that is my belief in this moment for many of years, that is not the belief that I grew up with. I grew up as in Catholicism with the belief that God was this old, gray-haired, bearded gentleman in the sky. That I was separate from God and that I had to ask for God to support me, ask for God to intervene in my life, sometimes beg God to intervene in my life. At least that's what I believed at that time. And when I was young, I experienced many years of sexual abuse as a young child. And I remember praying to God, asking for God to stop the abuse. And as the years went by, I concluded that either God did not exist or God had abandoned me. And I believed that I was on my own to figure everything else out. And it wasn't until my freshman year of high school when a teacher gave me a card that changed everything. On this card was the story, Footprints in the Sand. And the story is of a young woman who has a dream that she's walking along the beach with God and that she is seeing before her images of her life, scenes of her life, and that with each scene, there are two sets of footprints. One is hers, and the other set is God's. And as she's looking through these scenes of her life, she noticed there were times when she only saw one set of footprints. And these specific times were the times where she was having the hardest challenges and struggling and in great despair. And this realization startled her. And she asked God, why is it that during the times of greatest stress and greatest strife in my life, I only see one set of footprints? Why was it that it was then that you would abandon me? And God looked at her and said, my precious, precious child, I love you and I would never leave you. During the times that you only see one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. And this story, when I read it for the first time, it shifted something in me significantly. It shifted my perception of God. It shifted my relationship with God. And from that moment forward, I recognized that God is always there. God is always supporting me, and that I'm never alone. And so as we take that story and look at it and bring it into our time now, I know the same is true right here, right now. That we are never alone. That God is moving through, in, and around us in every moment. God is showing up as all of the people that we interact with, virtually, as well as in person, over the phone, texting. God is right here expressing itself through each of us. And lately I've had a song in my head that has become more of a mantra. And this song is from Eddie Watkins Jr. And he says, God is the place where I live, Move and breathe and have its being. God is the place where I show up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God shows up. We are the vessels through which God is expressing itself around the world. We are God's hands and feet. And so now more than ever, we are needed. Our light is needed in this world to support one another through this challenging time. And so how do we move into a time creating new beginnings during a time that feels so distant, potentially hopeless at times? I have 3 steps for us. The first step is to start where you are. To find a spiritual practice that reminds you that God is right here, that we are never alone, and that we are connected in every moment. And so for me, there is a quote from Ernest Holmes that has turned into another chant or mantra for me. And Ernest Holmes says, "There's only one God. There's only one life. That life is my life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now." And I invite you to say that with me 5 times. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And just breathe that in for a moment. And as you were repeating that mantra, were you able to drop into the sacredness of this precious moment? Spiritual practice gives us the opportunity to set aside all of the activity of the day, to set aside any anxiety, to set aside any fears of what's coming up next, and to drop into this moment. For this moment is what we have to create in. We cannot create in yesterday. We cannot create in tomorrow. Today is the day that we have to create in. And so the second step is to get out of your own way. Oftentimes, we hear our intuitive voice nudging us to do something, to act. Perhaps it's as simple as inviting somebody else to go in line in front of us at the grocery store. How many of us dismiss that voice and either ignore it or just, pretend that it's not there? But what if we listen to that intuitive voice within? What if we listened to it and we acted upon the soul stirrings that are happening right now, opening to the divine presence, the divine gifts that are available to us? And so the third step is to take the first step. Oftentimes we don't believe that we have what it takes to create something new. We don't know what it's going to look like. But if we're willing to take the next step, God will provide the details. We will be guided. We will be supported. And so in this time of springtime, in this time of new beginnings, start where you are. Get out of your own way and take the first step. And so I invite us now to take that first step together as we go within. And so in this time, the sacred moment of the divine, allowing that divine breath to move in through us. That sacred breath is a sacred breath of the life of Mother, Father, God. It is the arms that are wrapped around us that anchors us into this precious time. I know that as we move into the rest of our day and the rest of our week, we open to the possibilities that are before us. We open to the invitations to go within, the invitations to connect. We open to the invitations to remember that God is right here. I'm so grateful for all of the extraordinary lights and hands that continue to say yes in the world around us. All of the hearts that are supporting one another, that are nurturing, that are caring, that are loving. Despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, I'm so grateful for the willingness for humanity to come together during this time, to say yes, and to allow God to move through each and every one of us, beautifully blessing each person that we come into contact with. And with a sacred yes, we continue to move into our day, knowing that we are guided, supported, and we are never alone. And so it is.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Tim.
And now we are so grateful for everyone's support, whether it's in time, treasure, or talent, and especially during this time of change. Whether this is your first time joining us or you're a returning community participant, we want to thank you for your continuing financial support for the important work that we are doing here today. Right now, there's many ways that you can support us during this time of home isolation with your contributions. You can use a credit card, and you can use your cell phone or device to send a text. You text it to 844-454-0918, and then you type the word give and the dollar amount that you want to give. For example, if you'd like to give $20, then you text give 20. You can also go to our website, www.cslddenver.org. There you'll find a donate button in the lower right-hand corner. And you can send checks or money to us to our post office box, and that would be CSL Denver, Post Office Box 300416, Denver, Colorado 80203. There's a couple other ways you can continue to support us with your purchasing. If you have Amazon, you go into Amazon Smile. That's Amazon Smile. And you sign up to support Center for Spiritual Living Denver, and a portion of your purchases goes to our center. King Soopers also has the same thing. If you have the King Soopers card and you use King Soopers a lot, you go online and you register with King Soopers, and a portion of your giving does go to CSL Denver. So finally, we are blessed to have you as a member of our community. And we know that showing up and everything with us, um, being with us in spirit and body provides us so much of a gift. And that does fill our hearts, our souls, and the entire center as we join in community as one. And for our offering, we do have a special affirmation that we say that we believe is very, very powerful. That affirmation is, this perfect gift is spirit informed, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is. And now back to Freddy.
Spring is here, everybody sing. Spring is here, all the joy you bring. Get down the street on a sunny day. The flowers sing and the willows sway. Life looks good, but just pass on. Like the fresh new breeze, there's no fear at all. Spring is here, everybody sing. Spring is here, and the joy it brings. Spring is here, everybody sing. Spring is here, and the joy it brings. The birds and the bees, oh, they fall in love. The writer writes a brand new song. You see, the change is good and it inspires us all. 'Cause Mother Earth always dances on. Spring is here, everybody sing. Spring is here, and the joy it brings. Joy, okay, alright, it's alright. Okay, alright, it's alright. Okay, it's alright. Okay, alright, it's gonna be alright. Spring is here, everybody sing. Spring is here, all the joy it brings. Spring is here, everybody sing. Spring is here, all the joy it brings.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you. And this concludes our broadcast for today. We will continue to meet online for the coming weeks until we feel it's safe for our community to return to our center at 789 Sherman Street. In the meantime, please feel free to share ideas with us in the chat or by emailing info@csldenver.org. That's info@csldenver.org. And we will listen. Know too that we are here for you, and we're grateful that you have joined us this morning. We'll continue to hold each and every one of you in our prayers and our thoughts. Thank you very much again, and we look forward to connecting with you next Sunday. Now, I believe Freddie is going to play us out.
in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. We hold you in our hearts. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Have a wonderful Sunday, everybody. Palm Sunday. Spring is here, glad to see. Spring is here, all the joy it brings. Okay, alright, it's gonna be alright. Okay, alright, it's gonna be alright. Spring is here, everybody sing. Spring is here, all the joy it brings. Blessings.